You're new to running and consider yourself somewhat of a beginner? Well, before you hit the road, I have 12 simple tips for you that will help you start running the right way and avoid some of the most common beginner mistakes. Let's get into it. Alright, tip number 1. Just start, don't overdo it, and have fun. The part about have fun might be a little bit hard to do in the beginning because I can most certainly promise you that you're gonna at least suffer a little bit, especially in the beginning.
Running sucks.
Because your body's still getting used to these new stresses which you put on it. That's why it's very important that you don't overdo it and avoid injury at all costs. You don't have to run 6, 7, 8 kilometers in your first run. If you just keep it short, I don't know, 1 to 3 kilometers and build gradually from there, you will build a way more solid base and you will be way better off in the long run. Alright, so tip number 2, keep your runs at a nice and easy pace. Especially in the beginning, 100% of your runs should be in an easy, chill pace. You don't have to breathe very hard or whatever because you're gonna burn out halfway through your workout or through your run and you can't even finish your run. And I know it doesn't look as cool as all those other guys that are running, I don't know, 4:30, 5-minute paces. But first of all, they're in the game way longer than you. You're just starting out. And second, most of those guys are also running way too fast. I have done the same mistake. We call it ego running in this industry. You're just trying to show off like you wanna look cool, but to be honest, no one really cares how fast you're running, first of all. And second, someone that is standing on the sidewalk or your neighbor won't see if you're running a 5:30 or 4:30 minute per kilometer pace. So it's super important, especially in the beginning, 100% of your runs should feel easy. You should be able to talk not in full sentences, but full paragraphs. And later down the line, which we'll cover in future videos, you will focus on 80% of your run that should be easy, and the other 20% are gonna be lactate, threshold training, intervals, and long runs. But that's not for this video, that's for a future video. We're just starting out, so focus on 100% of your runs to be as easy and nice as possible. And you will feel way better off in the long run. Now the cool thing about running is you can literally just step outside and start running, right? But there's one thing that makes a huge difference, which brings me to tip number 3, your running shoes. Now, I've learned this the hard way. This is why I'd recommend you to invest into a good pair of these, especially when you're a beginner. It makes a lot of sense to visit your local run store and they will just look at your gait, which is basically how you land and how you roll when you run. And they will help you find the best shoes which supports that. As I said, this makes a huge difference and will make running, especially in the beginning, way easier, way more comfortable, and way more enjoyable. Okay, so tip number 4. When you first start out, stakes are high, you're gonna be pretty excited about running and you feel like heading out the next day for your next run. And this feeling is actually a pretty good sign. But still, especially in the early days, try giving your body a day off between runs because your body needs to adapt to these new feelings and new stresses which you put especially on your legs and your joints and everything. So use this simple day on, day off strategy. So 1 day running, 1 day off, and ease in and you'll feel way better off in the long run. And you can build a solid base from there. Alright, so on to tip number 5. To keep your running routine feeling steady and sustainable, try to mix up the surfaces you run on. Pavement or sidewalks are perfect when you want to pick up the pace, but they're pretty hard surfaces, so all that repeated impact can add up on your joints over time. Off-road trails or grass, on the other hand, are way more forgiving and easier on your body, though they do come with a slightly higher chance of things like rolling an ankle if you're not watching. And then there's the treadmill. Super handy for getting miles in no matter what the weather is doing outside, even if it can feel a little different from real world running. Those 3 are solid options, each with its own upsides and trade-offs. Simplest thing is just rotate between them when you can. A little variety keeps things interesting and gives your body a nicer, more balanced experience. Now real quick, if you're new to this channel, I'd highly appreciate you subscribing to the channel since I'm building this from zero and I'm really passionate about all of that stuff. And if you find value in my videos and if you want me to talk more about running, hybrid training and just training in general, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. I'd highly appreciate that. And now back to the video. Alright, so tip number 6. Focus on distance, not time or speed. I've said that before, especially in the beginning, it's super important that you keep those easy runs easy, especially as you're just starting out. And the way that I do that is I have fixed routes for 3 kilometers, 5 kilometers, 8 kilometers, 10 kilometers, and I would suggest you to do the same thing. If it's even possible for you, leave your watch at home, or if you still want to track your workout, it's fine. Just don't look at the pace the whole time and try to get faster and faster each run. It's super important to keep those easy runs easy. And you will see it will feel so much better if you just get out there, do your distance, and don't worry about your pace the whole time. We can focus on pace later down the line, but for now it's important for your body to get used to running, and we do that by focusing on distance and not time. But what if you feel like slowing down or even walking during a run? Is that actually okay? Which brings me to tip number 7. Walking during your runs is okay. It's not failing, especially when you're just starting out. Your body might just need that quick short break to regain some energy, so you can keep on running even further than you would have been if you just kept on trying to run instead of just taking that short break. And if it's hard for you to run without walking at all, that's super fine. You can use a simple method like jogging a few hundred meters and then walking a few. And as you go further and as you keep on going and you're gonna progress, you can try to keep those walking periods shorter and shorter until at some point you can just jog the whole way through. The only important thing is to keep on running at a speed that feels good to you. You just started out, and I promise you, you will get better each time you get out. Now, running will make your body feel tight and sore sometimes, which brings me to tip number 8, stretching and mobility work. And I've learned this the hard way. I'm currently already in a 1.5 week running break since I ignored small soreness and tightness and just kept on running and didn't do like proper stretching and mobility work. And now a smaller problem turned into an inflammation in my muscle. So I haven't ran in 3 days, and I'm planning on running a backyard ultra marathon by the end of next week, and this is my current state. And now I can't run until this is fully healed, which pretty sucks. So don't make the same mistake. At least stretch your calves, your hips and your quads after each run for a couple of seconds, 20-30 seconds for each region, and you will already be way better off than if you ignore it and don't do the work at all. And if you do that regularly, it will help you to keep that soreness pretty mild, and it will prevent injuries from happening. Of course, you can avoid injuries, but at least you can do everything to avoid injuries in the first place, right? So listen to your body. If something feels weird, tight, or just doesn't feel right, take a day off or two and don't ignore those signs. Otherwise, you're gonna end up just like me and you can't run at all, which sucks, and you don't want that to happen. It's better to rest a little now instead of resting a long time later because you ignored those signs.
After a 3-month selection process, PCI finally chose a new added.
Now, tip number 9 is something I actually don't do, which is running in groups or running with a run buddy. You can either do that in finding a running buddy, or you can sign up to your local run club. As I said, I like to run by myself because I have to do with people all day long, and I like to be in my thoughts and enjoy this time which I have for myself. But I know a lot of people, and in general a lot of people like to run in groups and like to run with the run club, especially on days when it feels hard, right? When you need that extra motivation, that kick in the ass, which you get from your running buddy or from your local run club. If you don't like to run in groups or with your buddy, just like I do, you can simply ignore this tip and go and run by yourself. Alright, so for tip number 10, a mistake I again made and learned the hard way, which is adding too much volume too fast. You should build volume gradually, and I haven't done this the right way, so this is why I have an injury from overload and of course stretching and mobility, what I told you already. So there's a simple rule which you should follow, which is the 10% rule. Don't add more than 10% per week. So let's say if you ran 10 kilometers this week, you can run up to 11 kilometers the next week. I know it sounds like nothing and it sounds too little, but trust me, in the long run, you will feel way better off. You will build a strong foundation and your body will thank you for that. And then you're gonna be at like 80-90 kilometers if you're really taking it serious without any problem. If you have any weird feeling in your legs, if something hurts or something feels weird, don't overdo it, take it easy and don't risk any injuries. But how do you actually know how much you ran this week? Which brings me to tip number 11, track your progress. Now you don't need any fancy stuff like a expensive watch or anything or an app. You can just use a logbook like a notebook and write down your weekly kilometers. Or if you want to, you can use a watch. I'm doing it with Strava, so I'm basically tracking all of my workouts on my Garmin. I have the Garmin Forerunner 970 and this automatically transfers it into my Strava app, and then I will see my weekly kilometers in my Strava app. As I said, stick to that 10% rule to make sure you're not risking any injury or stuff. And yeah, with that being said, let's move on to the last tip. Alright, so for the last and final tip, it's all about staying consistent. Remember, everyone starts somewhere. It's not about becoming the pro in 1 week or something. First of all, it's about the journey, and you should enjoy the journey, which is why it's important that you stick to the things that I've talked before, all of the other steps. Of course, in the beginning, it feels very hard and running might not feel as fun and as easy as it looks at others, but don't compare yourself to someone that is in the game for a couple of years. You just started out. It's gonna be tough at first, but if you stick to it and if you can show up every day or every second day in the beginning, I promise you, running will start to get easier and you will start to enjoy it. Running is such an amazing sport. You can be in your own mind so much and you can think about your own things and just everything is so clear when you're running. At least that's the way how it is for me. I am very creative when I run. I have very good thoughts when I run. Like stuff like right now, this video. A lot of the things and the ideas I have come actually from running and thinking about all of my ideas, my life, where I'm at right now, what I should improve, where I should get better, where I can already be proud of myself and stuff. Just rewind and rethink a little bit, and this is why I love running so much. And yeah, as I said, stay consistent and you will see it, you will make progress, and running will start to feel easier and way more enjoyable than it is in the beginning. Alright, that's about it. I hope these 12 tips have been helpful for you. If yes, I'd highly appreciate you subscribing to the channel, which you can do just by clicking right here. If you have any questions or want me to dive deeper into a specific topic, let me know in the comment sections down below and I will help you out. If you want to know what a day in my life looks like with all my training and running and my nutrition, click this video right here. If you want to know how I prepared for a sub 1 hour and 30 minute half marathon, click this video right here. With that being said, thank you for watching and I'll catch you in the next one.